All right, let's talk about a word you've probably heard thrown around a ton if you're anywhere near tech or cybersecurity. OWASP. But what is it, really? Today, we're going to decode it. We're going way beyond that famous top 10 list to see what's truly going on underneath. Let's dive in.
Chances are, if you've heard of OWASP at all, it's because of this. The top 10. It's that famous list of the biggest, baddest security risks out there. But hold on, before we even get to the list, what exactly is OWASP in the first place? Okay, so at its core, OWASP, which stands for the Open Web Application Security Project, is a nonprofit foundation. That's it. And their entire mission, their whole reason for being, is to make software more secure for all of us. And the way they do that is by creating and just giving away completely free resources. We're talking tools, documents, and standards that absolutely anyone can use.
Right, so let's start with the big one, the thing that really put OWASP on the map for pretty much everybody.
Now here's the thing you've got to understand about the top 10 list. It's not a rule book, it's not a set of commandments, it's an awareness document. Think of it as a heads up for organizations highlighting the 10 most critical security risks they really need to worry about. It gets updated every few years, which makes sense because the ways hackers try to break things are always changing.
So what are these risks, actually? They can sound super technical and kind of abstract. So let's just take the top 3 from the latest list and make them feel a little more real. Okay, so this first one, broken access control. What's kind of wild is just how simple it can be. This is all about users being able to do things they just shouldn't be allowed to do. Here's the classic example. Imagine you're logged into a website and you look up at the URL in your browser. It says something like myapp.com/user/dashboard. And you think to yourself, I wonder what happens if I just change user to admin. And bam, it works. You're suddenly looking at the admin panel. That, right there, is broken access control.
Next up, we've got cryptographic failures. Now, this sounds really fancy, but it all boils down to one simple, scary idea. Sensitive data isn't being protected the way it should be. The most blatant, shocking example is a website storing your password in plain text. No scrambling, no coding, just your password. If their database ever gets hacked, the attackers have a perfect list of usernames and passwords ready to go. This is why data has to be encrypted or scrambled, especially when it's being stored or sent over the internet. And number 3 is injection. This is where an attacker basically sends a little bit of malicious data to an application and tricks it into running a command it was never supposed to. The most famous one is called SQL injection. So picture a login form. Instead of typing in a password, an attacker might type in a weird bit of code like ROR1 =1. If the website is vulnerable, the database gets confused, sees a command that's basically always true, and might just let the attacker in. No password needed. It's a classic, and it can be absolutely devastating.
So, okay, we've got this list of critical risks. And yeah, it's incredibly important. But is that it? Is OWASP just a top 10 list of all the ways things can go horribly wrong? Well, the answer to that is a huge, resounding no. And this is where we get to the real story. The top 10 is just the front door. Behind it, there's this massive ecosystem of resources that aren't just about finding problems, but about actively fixing them.
The best way to think about it is like this. The top 10 is the tip of the iceberg. You know, it's the part that everyone sees sticking out of the water. But the real mass, the real foundation that's actually holding the entire structure up, that's everything else OWASP provides.
For starters, OWASP gives you the actual tools for the job. And we're not talking about theoretical papers here. These are free, open-source programs that security professionals use every single day. You've got things like OWASP Zap, which basically acts like an automated hacker, constantly poking and prodding your applications to find weak spots. Then there's Dependency Check, which is kind of like a security librarian for your code, making sure all the other pieces of software you're using don't have some known problem. Next up, OWASP provides the blueprints. So if the tools are for finding individual cracks in the wall, the standards and frameworks are for building the whole house securely from the ground up. The ASVS, for example, is basically a giant checklist that defines what secure even looks like. And SAM is even bigger picture. It's a whole roadmap for an organization to get better at security over time, step by step.
And finally, and this might be the most important part, OWASP is about people and knowledge. The Cheat Sheet series gives developers quick, practical, just tell me what to do answers for common security problems. But it's so much more than just documents. OWASP is a global community. There are local chapters all over the world, global conferences. It's a place where the people actually doing this work can meet, share what they're learning, and push the entire industry forward. It's a living, breathing project.
So, okay, that's a lot of stuff. How does all of this actually fit together in the real world? Like, what do people do with this ecosystem day to day?
Okay, let's paint a picture. Imagine a team building a new app. The developers, they're constantly glancing at the OWASP cheat sheets to write secure code from the get-go. As soon as they finish a new feature, a security analyst fires up a tool like Zap to automatically hunt for vulnerabilities. Later, an auditor might come in and use the ASVS standard as their official yardstick to certify the app. And way up at the top, the company's leadership is using SAM to make sure the whole process gets better and more mature every year. See? It's one ecosystem, powering every single role.
So it's pretty clear this is way more than just a list. Let's wrap this all up by really focusing on why this whole ecosystem is so foundational to modern security.
So why does all this matter so much? Well, for one, OWASP has become the common language for web security. It provides that baseline guidance developers need. It's the go-to toolkit for security testers all over the world. And this is huge. It helps companies meet major compliance standards, like the rules for handling credit card data or frameworks used by the government. It's literally woven into the fabric of digital trust.
And that brings us to the core takeaway here. If you remember one thing, let it be this. OWASP is not just a top 10 list. It is a complete, free, and open ecosystem of tools, standards, and community knowledge for building, testing, and maintaining secure applications.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Think about all the software you rely on every single day. Your banking app, your social media accounts, everything. The real question to ask is that software being built on this foundation of security?